Hi, Counselor Head. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep, no problem.
Perfect.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
we're set then.
Okay, yeah, we're
Right.
set. Thank you. Got back on because
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone. Being 5 o'clock, I'm going to call the meeting of March 6th open, and I'll ask everyone to rise and the city clerk to say the prayer.
O God, let us each in our own way ask your wisdom and guidance in our deliberations. Help us to incorporate into all our decisions those values which will enable us to fulfill our mission to act as responsible stewards and to respect and value the cultural and spiritual tradition of all citizens of the city of Prince Albert. For this we pray. Amen.
Thank you. And I'd like to remind everyone we're on Treaty 6 land in the home of the Métis. And I'll move to number 3, approval of the agenda. And there's 2 items to be added, and they're on your desk. One's a letter of support of the lights, and then the other one is about zoning bylaw amendment 2 and 3 readings. Councillor Zapp.
Thank you. I will move the agenda for this meeting be approved as presented and that the presentations, delegations, and speakers listed on the agenda be heard when called forward by the mayor. And Mayor, I would ask, would the mayor want to consider the notice of motion, mayor's notice of motion? There are 2 individuals here from Northcote Manor on that topic, and wondering if the mayor wanted to consider hearing that earlier if possible.
I'd like to, but I'm still reading the rules. I know I can move the other ones, but this is a notice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Seconder? Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. It is now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Oh, there's 8. I'm thinking, where's the I'm sitting here waiting. Carried. Okay, presentations, we have none. Declaration of conflict of interest. You all know that what it is. If you're in a conflict of interest in any subject, you have to notify the clerk and then excuse yourself when the subject comes. No. 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 What does the sign say in front of your desk? Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That the minutes of the council meeting held February 13, 2023 be taken, read, and adopted.
Thank you. Seconder. Oh, Councillor Bodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. Notice of proclamations. We have none. Number 8, public hearings. We have none.
That's the public hearing. No, the public hearing is this.
It's 8.1. It's
This is the new one. It's not listed because it's added.
Sorry, not listed, but added. So, let me get my glasses. So, I'm opening the public hearing for a reading of 2nd and 3rd of a zoning bylaw amendment. Is there anyone here from the gallery that would like to speak on this amendment? Seeing none, I'll ask the department to go ahead. Go ahead. What's with everyone telling me to do my job?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of council, and thank you for allowing the late addition. I appreciate that. So bylaw 2 of 2023 in front of you is in regards to a zoning bylaw amendment. It was previously considered early February for first reading. This specific amendment is 3 changes to our zoning bylaw. The first is to allow shipping containers in our future urban development district and our low-density country residential district. So those are country residential lots that are over 5 acres in size. The second is clarifying the definition of our commercial service establishment, so just cleaning that up, and also the way we consider business complex and business groups from a discretionary use to discretionary development officer. We did move ahead with public notice as per the Planning and Development Act, and further to that, we did send letters to all residents within our low-density country residential district asking for their feedback. We did receive 1 email from an individual who was not necessarily against the proposed amendment, but rather had questions about the permits and those types of things involved. So other than that, we have not received any correspondence from the public. And with that, I'll pass it on to you, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Now with that, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll move to council for their direction. Stand by. Yeah, I hit that. That was my mistake. Here we go. Back to the original. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the work done on this bylaw and that we had discussion in February and it has gone to the public. So I will move that bylaw number 2 of 2023 be, received a second and third reading. Well, receive a second and third reading.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Any discussion? See no one adding to the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor, your worship.
Thank you. Carried.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 2 of 2023, a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw to allow permitted shipping containers in future urban development and low-density country residential zoning districts, as well as updating the definition of commercial service establishment and changing business complex and business group uses. This bylaw is for second and third reading today.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the bylaw number 2 of 2023 be read a second time.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Okay, motion carries. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that bylaw number 2 of 2023 be read a third time and passed, and that the bylaw number 2 of 2023 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and the city clerk.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Any final discussion? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, delegations, we're done. Communications, none. Now because I am the chair, I'm going to break with tradition because we have two ladies here from Northcott Manor to hear this item. And so I'm going to move to number 17, motions, and I'll pass the chair to Councillor Miller.
Motions for Mayor Dion.
Yeah, she's just getting it right here. I move that the administration install a yellow flashing pedestrian signal at the corner of First Avenue East and 8th Street, where the city previously removed a controlled signal.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Second.
Oh, seconder,
Then I
sorry.
have some things to say.
Councillor Zapp.
Thank you, I second.
Thank you. Mayor Dion.
Thank you. If people remember, just like to remind council, sometime ago we had a controlled set of signal lights there, and we had a break in the water line or the sewer, and it was too expensive to put this controlled signal back. But they did say that if it became an issue in the future, that we'll revisit it. Well, the time is to revisit it, and I'd just like to highlight some of the challenges that are there. It's a unique intersection because there's 5 actually entranceways into that intersection. There's the 2 on First, there's the 1 on 8th, then there's 1 coming out of the parkade, and then 1 further down where it comes out of the gas station, i.e. church parking lot. So it is a confusing intersection, and in a meeting with the tenants of all 3 buildings, it is an issue to get across there, strictly because of their mobility, and there's no signal there to get the traffic to stop. Most of them say the problem is the 2 intersections coming out of the co-op and the other one because they just swing in and they're on you. So we did come up with this unique idea of these flashing beacons, and I think that's a perfect location for it, and so I believe it should be installed. You can see by the letter on your desk and a few others that you received that the tenants of Northcott certainly support it. And it's one of their ways to get around and to walk, but it's a challenge getting across that street. So I would ask council to support my motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Zapp.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you to the 2 members from Northcote Manor that want to be here in support of the mayor's motion tonight. So in meeting with residents at Northcote Manor, I too have heard what the mayor's heard, overwhelming request to have some more control at that intersection. What I'm hearing is that the seniors really appreciated that the full traffic light that we used to have, and that would be ideal. However, as the mayor pointed out, there was damage to that light, and so now the residents are asking if City Council would consider a compromise, a lesser option. It's the flashing signals, not a traffic light that's being proposed here tonight. And something to note is right at that intersection, many of the seniors that live in that building, they use the pharmacy and the medical clinic that are located along that street. So it's a very popular route. It's important to quality of life to be able to walk and feel safe and be able to cross. And the mayor's right, it's a busy intersection there. So we do have many letters that are on our council agenda from residents. There are more residents that weren't able to provide a letter, but that we're hoping that this motion passes tonight. And there are many Northcote residents that are watching tonight as well.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. My question is this. I really appreciate that listening to the seniors and to our residents. It's very important. Safety is number 1, and that crossing, the idea of the, what is the type of crossing called? Beacon?
Beacon.
Flashing is being installed throughout our city. We did go through a budget process for this year where the department had 4 listed items that will receive the beacon crossing. So my question is, I'm not quite sure whether it go to you as the mover or to the director. Would we be expecting it this year? And if we're expecting it this year, then would we have to move one of the 4 that we had previously approved? And what is the cost of putting those beacon lights in?
Thank you. The Director of Public Works.
Thank you for that question. So one of those rapid flashing beacons, crosswalks, costs approximately $15,000 to install. And as present, if this was to be approved, I don't have a budget for that, so it would have to come from some other location, maybe fiscal stabilization, I'm not sure. I guess it would be your call.
Okay, and for a budget item, I'm wondering, let's take the budget off, but the construction plan that you have this year, we could fit in putting in a beacon crossing this year?
As far as the time frame and the workload, they're not difficult to install, so as that goes, we could install it. We can manage that. The
So it
dollar
would not
value, I
affect
just
the
don't have.
other 4? We wouldn't?
No, it wouldn't affect the other 4.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Dion?
Just to follow up on hers, you never answered the question about can we move one of the 4 this year and put this one in and let's prioritize one and move it till next year? That was part of her question.
I guess that is something that could be done, but then again, that would have to be, which one do we select? There was 4 installed this year. There's 4 more to be installed this year. There's 4 installed last year, sorry. 4 more this year.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards?
No, you had your light on, and I. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Dion, or Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I have a concern about which budget it is going to come through, as the councillor to my left noted. So there isn't anything that talks about the funding in the motion. I'm assuming that that's going to have to be added, or we move it to the 2024 budget. If we approve it as is, it would have to go to the 2024 budget, correct?
Correct. We can do that, or we can do it this year. Or we could ensure that it's put in 24, so then it'll be pre-approved to the budget.
Right. But as it sits right now, we're in a limbo a little bit.
Yes.
So we'll have to clarify what direction we're going to go with it.
Correct, and I'll have a comment once you're
Okay,
done.
good. Thank you.
And I'm going to take the director on. Okay. I find it interesting, we have a $15,000 item that's not in the budget, and of course we can't find it. Okay. Well, you're working on a project that's $1.4 million that's not in the budget. And you're going to ask me to approve $750,000 this year and $750,000 next year. That's not in the budget. So that's why I question sometimes administration's motives. You know, when we want something, we got to dig and scratch and find it. But if they want something, and we're only talking $15,000. But I'm not going to fight over it. I'm even prepared. If he can find it this year, that means there'll be no changes to the budget all year round, which I don't have an issue with that. And then I'll just move that we pre-approve the install for spring of 24. They've waited this long. I'm quite sure one more year they could wait.
Thank you. Councillor Ogrotnik?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I disagree with you. Let's not wait till 2024. Let's find the money, whether it be fiscal stabilization or that safety reserve or whatever it is that we have. Let's find the money and let's do it ASAP. You argued that it's a safety issue. It's needed. It's mobility issues. Let's do it and get her done, and we'll find the money. I disagree with the funded in the 2024 budget, what you just added.
I did see her add that.
Well, you were saying that. That's what you wanted, Mr.
Well,
Mayor.
I said if that did appease the council.
I know, but anyway, so let's eliminate that part of the thing and find the money and get her done. And
Yes, well, I'll
put it to fiscal stabilization.
Well, or I'll meet with the city manager. We should be able to find it. It's just started the year. We haven't spent hardly
Well,
any money.
But we have to pass in order to get it done right now where it's coming from. So we have to have a source of funding, I would understand.
Okay, I'll put,
So fiscal stabilization, in my opinion, would be the safest place to put it. And
I'll say that for now, but I'm going to come back with Public Works.
Okay,
Because
thank
that's the department I'm going to find it in.
thank you. We're not supposed to be debating, but
Okay.
I have the floor, but thank you.
No, I agree. Okay,
Thank you.
any other
I
comments?
have a comment. Yeah, I
Oh,
do.
yes, go
Counselor
ahead.
Head?
And you'll have to remind me that you're there, Tony.
Will do. Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Oh.
Yeah, just a couple of comments, I guess. I too feel it should come out of this year's budget. I realize that we have gone through our budget process and it is somewhat set, although there is some, I would feel there's some room through fiscal stabilization that we could achieve this. There was some concern when we did delete or decide to take out some of the conduit and the wiring, but this seems like needed as well in that area. So I'm in support of this motion and I feel it should happen this year as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Councillor Zepp?
Yes, I'm happy to hear the comments all around, and I agree that this is something that I'm hopeful will pass for, not to wait until next budget, but for this year.
Thank you. Mayor Dion, are you?
Okay, I think everyone's spoken. I'll just wait for your, Councilor Cody lit up.
Councillor Cody? Yeah.
And then I'll call the question once you instruct me.
Okay.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you very much. You know, I can't believe that we're even having this conversation,
Well,
to tell you the
I.
honest truth, for $15,000. You know, we're going to go down an item here very shortly now, and they think nothing about to take future infrastructure funding reserve and put it to a playground. Perfectly good. We need the playground. But is that infrastructure or is this infrastructure? This is far more necessary than that playground is, by a far cry. These people here should have that done immediately this spring, and I'm in total favor of doing it. And if we can't find it in that budget of millions of dollars in public works, I'd be a surprised person. I can tell you that. And we've got 2 or 3 spots we can get it from. One would be public works. One would be the infrastructure reserve, which is infrastructure. And the next one, of course, would be a reserve, the fiscal stabilization. So I'm fully in favor of doing it immediately.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Mayor Dion?
Well, I'll close and thank you, and I will sit down with the city manager and figure out how we can pay for it, and we'll bring a report back to council.
Great.
Ready for the
We'll
question?
open the vote.
No. It's now open. Councillor Head?
I'm in favor.
Thank you. It passed unanimously. And you ladies, if you'd like to leave, you're more than welcome to. If you'd like to be entertained for an hour or so, you're more than welcome as well. Thank you for your attendance.
And I'll hand back the chair to you, Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Okay, we're at 11.1, dry gas scrubber replacement tender. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks. Also move that tender number 17 of 2023 for the supply and delivery of chlorine gas scrubber media replacement known as MK5 media in the amount of $133,510 plus applicable taxes be awarded to Price Industries Limited. And 2, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any applicable documents on behalf of the city if required.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
If I could, Your Mayor.
Yeah,
Your
go
Worship.
ahead.
Thank you. And I am in support of this motion. I know we had some discussion at budget around this item, and I wanted to say, point out that we had budgeted $161,000. Of course, we're coming in at $12,000 less. So good work on the department for that, and no surprises with this motion. In favor.
Okay. Thank you. Absolutely. Okay, the vote's now open. I already, Councillor Head said yes. Motion carries. 11.2, wastewater treatment plant detailed design update. This is a $15,000 saving, number one. I'll bring that up, and then I'll give the floor to Councillor Edwards.
Nice of you to make comments before the motion's on the floor, Mayor Dion. Also move that AECOM design engineers, along with the wastewater treatment plant manager and the assistant environmental manager, visit both Calgary, Alberta Fish Creek Treatment Plant or Treatment Facility and the Whitefish, Montana Treatment Facility for further investigation and insight on the Aqua Neridia, that's how you say that, treatment process. And two, that administration advise the Water Security Agency that the city will work with the agency on implementing an action plan to ensure that the proposed wastewater treatment plant meets the limits of the operational permit, and three, that prior to approval of the AECOM 50% detailed design and the Aqua Neridia treatment process administration identify all guarantees and or warranties that will be provided to the city in regards to the installation of the Aqua Neridia, I think I got it right that time, treatment process. Thanks.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Bodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Okay, any comments? No? Okay, comments?
I do.
Oh, okay, I'll put you in the queue. Councillor Cody goes first, and then I'll have you. Thank you, Councillor Ed.
Yeah, just a quick question for the department, if I might. What portion of the Aqua Neridia is the whole design? I know that this is a part, well, it's a part of the design, but it's not the whole design. There's obviously other parts in there. This takes the flow through away and puts batching system in or something like that, whatever you want to call it. How much portion of this new design is here and how much is not?
Thank you for the question. The Neridia biological treatment system would be in place of the BNR, which is only 2 of the 10 steps in the treatment process. So from the very headworks when the sewage comes into the plant to the very last part when it goes through the UV disinfection and goes to the river, there's 10 steps, 10 processes, and this would only be in where the primary and the secondary clarifiers are. So it's only one portion of the entire project.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Head.
Just a couple comments today. I'm not in favor of this motion, and a lot of was said on our executive committee meeting, but I just want to kind of just go over a few points for our staff to kind of review and assess other technologies and other plants out there by all means. And I think, as I mentioned on our executive committee, not in favor of sending some of our engineers. I know it's kind of a small point, but nonetheless, that one bothers me a bit. Number two, I see this motion has been softened up a bit. I want to point out, I really worry about going down this path as new technology. And I'm not saying I don't support it, but today I don't, because of some of the wording, and I look at the attached document from the Water Security Agency. A phase 2 full study pilot the Prince Edward wastewater treatment plant could demonstrate if the proposed Neridia technology can meet the DUIS limits, identify any design of operational risks, and provide decision makers and downstream users greater confidence in the technology. Because this is the new technology that we're seeing, so I'm more comfortable if we see more studies And I know that's not on our agenda today, but for that reason, I'm not supporting. I feel that there needs to be more work before we go down this. So, it's one thing we want to build it, but we want to make sure we build it right, as I mentioned. Number of the test of time. And yes, I like this piece of it. It's important that we do, for the residents, ensure that there's going to be guarantees. My apologies. And so I think that's kind of important that we see that from the company to reassurances and some guarantees as well. So, but today my vote is no for this motion we see in front of us.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Your Worship. Couple of things. Number one, we keep referring to this as new technology. Well, it's not new technology. It's been used for 18 years. It's new to Canada. And there is 2 plants that we're planning to go tour that are installing this already. The City of Calgary has moved forward with this technology. I'm sure that they probably didn't do any research whatsoever before they spent the money, but maybe they did. So to go in and discuss this and send our people in to see and ask questions is smart. It's part of the research that we need to move forward with the proposal that could save the city millions of dollars. So why would we not spend some money to go have a look? It's part of the study. We're already spending money to study just the overall water treatment plant, wastewater. So I think it's what we need to do, including number one, send the people that need to be there and have a look, ask the right questions, which I'm sure they will, and come back and give us a report. It's not a big cost in the overall big picture. I think we're looking at $100 million overall, which we don't have currently. So it's not a panic to go in. We can easily go do the tour, get the questions, come back, and we still have lots of time.
Just want to point of order in your presentation. We don't know the cost. So, well, could be 40. It could be quite a difference. Okay, I will not be supporting the motion. Strictly, it's new to Canada. But what concerns me is that we're sending Econ. They've never installed one of these plants. And now we're sending 2 of their engineers to help train them. And I think we're paying them $3 million for the plans. I'm amazed that request is there. But I too don't, I've in the past suffered from new. And so I've learned my lesson the hard way. And so I won't be supporting it strictly because it's new to Canada. You're right, it's 18 years. But I don't know how it's going to perform in our weather. They're all just going off the books and the binders because they have no experiences. So they're going to work on that. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I just want to make sure that I fully understand the tests that our people had done with this technology. Just remind me, if the director could, remind me of the information about the tests that our employees had done with the wastewater treatment plant and the time frame and why they conducted that particular test for the 6 weeks.
Thank you for that question. So what we did is we did do a pilot test. It was for approximately 12 to 16 weeks over last winter at this time when the air is cold and the water is coldest. And the only major concern that was requested of us by the Water Security Agency was, could we treat water at its coldest temperatures, because we are in a cold environment here. So it's basically the same as the other pilot, only on a smaller scale. And what we tested for to make sure that we could have nitrogen removal, which turned out to be exceptional. But we also tested the BOD, or the biological oxygen demand, which passed, the total dissolved solids, which passed, the ammonia, which passed, and the total phosphates, which all passed. So in that short period of time during the most extreme temperature, the smaller unit surpassed and exceeded our plant's capabilities. The pilot was run by our own employees, and so in that respect, we know that we can achieve that, or we feel we can achieve it with the larger facility. But going forward, we'd like to see it in action at those other locations.
Okay, so just refresh my memory. The difference between the current technology is it's a through system that is removing nitrogen, getting the water or the effluents ready to go back into the river. This step number, I think you said 2 of 10, is looking at the technology where instead it's sitting in like a sink, and it is, in your opinion, how is it different than what we currently do?
Yeah, it's flow through versus batch. So, and for those who have toured our facility, we have the primary clarifiers, which are square, and they have rakes that churn everything up, and you've got the biology happening in those. And then you have the secondary clarifiers that are doing the same thing and trying to clear the water. But it's a flow through. So as the sewage is entering, it's always leaving at the other end, and it's a continuous flow of water, like always running your tap. It's basically going to be the same process, the same biological process. The proposal is that you hold it for a period of time, and it's not a very long time. I think they said something like 15 minutes in each of the tanks, but by holding it, you can control the biological action better, and it removes and has sediment quicker. It'll settle faster, and then you release it. At the same time, you're running this in 3 different trains. So, well, one is filling, one is treating, one is releasing, and you're always changing it over. So it's pretty much the same process. It's just batching versus flow through. The same chemical reaction is happening.
Okay.
And I do invite any counselor who wants to have a tour of the facility. We're more than welcome to show you in person how it works now and what the difference would be.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, I'll prompt the question. Now open. He said no. Thank you. It passes 6-2. Okay, 11.3, Midtown Community Center Playground and Spray Park Replacement.
Your worship, if I could,
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to move this motion that $250,000 in the matching funding in support of the Midtown Community Center Playground and Spray Park replacement be funded through the Future Infrastructure Reserve. And 2, that the Community Services Department proceed with providing a deposit in the amount of $395,570 plus applicable taxes for the playground and spray park equipment components and blue rubber surfacing product from Playground R Us. 3.
That's it? That's it.
All the recommendation.
Okay. Councillor
Yeah,
Broderick.
then I'll move that.
Okay, Councillor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Zapp.
Thank you. I do have a question for the director. Just wondering what the department's thoughts are about winter use of new playgrounds. And I recall at past FCM conferences, we've seen different surfacing that these playground companies can put on to make more traction. I've noticed that there are children out using on our mild winter days, using our wonderful playgrounds in all seasons, including winter. Just wondering what the department's thought is about that.
Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, to Councillor Lennox Epps' inquiry. So that is something that we have been considering since the development of the replacement plan for our playgrounds. So we are pleased to see the increased use all season or all year round. Certainly in the design of this location, we'll be considering any components or any surfacing that can assist that all year round use. So it has been beneficial.
That's great, thank you. You can tell by the small footprints in the snow at many of our playground locations that they're being used. I wanted to just make a comment. This report also speaks to the last paddling pool in our city, which is at Hazeldale, and that the department is planning public consultation with the Hazeldale community about changes, a proposal to move that playground closer to the community hall and to change that paddling pool into a spray pad. And so I just wanted to note that I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that, and that is being proposed for next year's budget, and I'm interested in hearing from the public on that as well.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Just a question to the director. How long do we expect this equipment to last?
Thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. I don't know that I have an exact year in mind tonight. That's something I think would be probably best if I follow up specifically. It'll come down to probably quite a few factors, but I mean, we've seen examples where, you know, they can last for a generation. So we're seeing in our plan that I will note that the parks manager has completed, that we've seen, you know, these park spaces with amenities in place for over 25, 30 years. So, but without getting into the specifics that we will do within this particular project, I'd hesitate to give an exact year.
No, and I'm not looking for an exact year. I would more look at the, you know, I think most of the playground equipment's 25 to 30 years old already. Yes. So we're looking at probably that, correct?
Yeah,
so
yeah, that'd be
we're looking at this investment for the next 30 years, and I think it's a good investment to do for our playgrounds. And we have that plan where we're moving forward and upgrading those playgrounds that are desperately needing upgrades in most areas. So thank you.
So I have a question for the director. This surface that you want to put on, have we put it anywhere else in the city? What I'm referring to is the men's workout area. We had an issue. I hope that's not the same company.
No, not the same. Also, what was required at the outdoor gym was a different surfacing because of the activity and the impact at that location versus this location. So it would be a different example.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Question for the mayor. Where is the men's workout area?
Right beside the women's and the young children's.
Okay, that's great to hear.
And grandmas and grandpas. You're welcome. I'll prompt the question. It's now open. Councillor Head. Councillor Head.
In favor, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Your Worship. Very exciting, I said. Yes, in favor.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. (11.4) Usage of Kinsman and Stewart Arena. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to move that the following be approved upon the opening of the new twin pad arenas. That the Kinsman Arena remain in operation as an ice arena from September to March each season to accommodate minor hockey and private rental demand. That the Kinsman Arena be available beginning in April each season to accommodate the Prince Albert Box lacrosse demand. That the Dave G. Stewart Arena discontinue operations as an ice arena. And that the Community Services Department prepare a follow-up report that outlines alternate options for the future utilization of the Dave G. Stewart Arena facility.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
I'll second the motion, Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Discussion? Councillor Zapp.
Thank you. So we do have a community services master plan that does have a whole section on terminating use of public infrastructure, recreational infrastructure. And it looks, and when I read that, it looks to me as though we would incorporate public consultation in following that process that we have laid out. And so far, we have not yet taken any endeavor on public consultation other than just voting here at council, at committee level. And this is a public asset. The public owns this building, and I'd like to have full and thoughtful consideration of what the public would like to see for this building, the Stewart Arena, of course. And perhaps something I consider is, look how expensive it is to build new. And perhaps we want to consider continuing use of what we have. The report shows that the issue is not an acute repair issue. Of course, there are roof repairs, there are repairs that would need to go on as an ongoing basis, but there's nothing insurmountable at this stage. Someday, perhaps there would be. But to accommodate future growth of our city and future activity, maybe we want to keep the option of an ice arena available to us as council as we go on. And I just think we owe it to the public to hear from them and see what usage do you want for your public asset. This is an arena that's currently being used for many uses, but one is youth skating lessons. There are lots of things that an older arena probably could continue doing. It's doing it today. Skating lessons are today. And so this is a public asset. It's important to our community. And we as a community, to accommodate growth, should we not consider continuing this as an ongoing basis so that we can have that as an option and really look at our community services master plan in terms of what we need to do as a council before making that decision to discontinue. And lastly, I'll note that this motion also includes a report to come back to council about different options of usage. I fully support hearing that and seeing all the options, but it seems too early to completely discount and say we don't want the usage, because that's what this report says. It's not repair, it's usage. We don't need, the report says this would be more ice surface than what we really need right now, and that we would have a cost savings if we discontinued ice usage. Then we wouldn't have to pay to continue the use at this facility. And to me, I want us to be thinking of future growth and the need here.
Councillor Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To say that there's been no public consultation, I think isn't totally accurate. I think the director has consulted extensively the user groups of these facilities, and he has given us all of the hours and of each program and the percentage of the facilities, etc. So for 50 years, we've gone from 3 artificial ice surfaces, and with the opening of the twin pads, we're going to 4 artificial ice surfaces, which will take care of that need that was identified by the director and by the department, that groups were going out of town because there wasn't enough ice, artificial ice surface in the city. So we're increasing it. And so to say that we should spend an extra X amount of dollars in the community services budget to keep an ice surface open, a 5th ice surface open that isn't needed, to me is irresponsible. Like that to me doesn't make sense, that we'd say spend some more money to keep something open that isn't needed. And if it was needed, then we would be keeping it open. But right now, according to the report and according to all of the discussion, that we don't need it open. We're increasing the amount of ice surface. And so I support this. And this motion is positive because, again, the Kinsman Arena, now Box Lacrosse is going to have a guaranteed place to conduct, right from little guys all the way up to predators, lacrosse, adult lacrosse, in that facility. That's a positive for the city. We're dedicating a particular area. Talk to the user groups. The user groups say the Stewart, not only does it need, roof repairs, et cetera, that, we can handle that, we could do that. But the lobby and the dressing rooms are inadequate. Inadequate for, when you think about 50 years ago, when a kid came to play hockey practice, the size of the equipment was significantly smaller and less than it is today. And those dressing rooms are just not adequate according to the people that use it. I don't use it, but according to the people that use it, that's what they're saying. Those dressing rooms are inadequate. And so therefore it makes sense to, we're not getting rid of it. We're going to have the director come back with options. One might be getting rid of it, demolish it. I don't know what the options will be, but there's going to be options of how we can reuse this particular surface. The concrete will stay if we keep the building. The pipes will stay. We're not ripping out all of that. So if future need is there, I'll be dead by that time. But the councillors that will be around might say, okay, we'll upgrade it, new ice plant and on, and add on to it or whatever. I mean, that would be an option for, 5 councils from now to make that decision. So we're increasing, as I said, the ice surface in the city, artificial ice surface, that's a positive. Box across, that's a positive. I can't see people voting against it. So thank you. That's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor, right now.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I do have a couple of concerns. I think one is the motion says following be approved upon the opening of the new twin pad arenas. So we don't exactly know when the twin pad arenas are going to be open. I'm sure we're hoping for the fall of 2024. But I'm assuming that, with delays and everything, we probably will look at installing ice for the year on the 2024-25 season. Am I accurate on that? I mean, I know that's a difficult question because we don't know where we're at, but I'm a little concerned just with the upon opening. So as soon as we get it open, the Stewart is, we just shut it down, or that's the way I read it, and maybe I shouldn't read it that way.
I read it as transition.
So where are we? Like, do we shut the doors as soon as the twin pads open? Do we need some clarification there? I'm not trying to be a wordsmith guy, but I am.
Oh. That's all we have to worry about, Albert Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, to Councillor Edwards' question on this. So typically when we put the ice in at the Stewart, we start the ice plant around the middle of September. Yeah. It currently starts late September or the start of October. We're approximately, from the fall 2024 into that time frame, we're, about a year and a half, a little longer than a year and a half away to that time frame. Once we have, I think, further specifics on exactly what's going to be the 2024-2025 season, that'll be a combination of the construction schedule, exactly where that's leading us about a year from now, a little longer. And also then in lining with the fact that we would normally start that ice plant in September. In that time frame, I think, is when we're going to be able to provide confirmation on what that 2024-2025 season looks like for the Stewart. But, the wording was used to kind of ballpark that general time frame in which construction will be complete, will be fully commissioned with that new building, will be in operation, and then we can fully confirm that. So I think we'll be in a position to bring that information in full detail as that gets closer.
Okay, while I have you standing, I got a couple of questions. Some of the concerns that were raised about ice time, and I know we're adding a fourth. We're adding approximately, 1,400 hours.
1,498.
Prime time hours, so that's significant. So have we considered the possibility of the junior B team returning in those statistics?
Yes, so one of the discussion points that came to us is the potential for further and additional uses that don't currently exist today. That would be one of them. If we do get approached formally with a plan for that to occur, Previously, when we ran these numbers, we did have the Titans, so the former Junior B franchise, built into our review, because that obviously just existed up to, you know, a couple seasons ago or last season. So if there were to be an organization that came back and wanted to restart a franchise, that has been considered and would also assist us in driving more demand for artificial ice that we think can be handled within the 4 artificial ice arenas.
Right, because you're looking to fill more hours.
Right.
I mean, we're trying to fill 1,500 hours or whatever the number might be. So I understand there could be a female junior team possibly coming. Have we considered that as an as in the statistics?
At this point, we are aware of such a league getting attention in the province. We haven't been approached at this point from the opportunity for there to be a local team. So I wouldn't say that that has been considered. We do see, though, just in general comparison, that would be probably in close usage statistics to the Junior B requirement. So we could run those numbers, but still feel confident that the facilities, the indoor arenas that we have in Prince Albert, and in addition to the 4th artificial ice arena, will handle our demand.
Okay, okay, that's good. So has any user group come to us? I mean, you consulted all the user groups. You showed them design. You know, I'm assuming, you know, maybe there was conversation about the Stewart Arena or you know, and the transition there, whether that was a plan or an idea. I'm sure they all kind of had an idea that the Stewart may be decommissioned. Has any user group come to us and said, listen, we need a 5th ice surface? Has there been any plan put forward at all from any user group saying this isn't good? Have we seen any written correspondence at all about that?
Thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. So those user group meetings that you're referencing did occur almost 2 years ago. We made it very clear that we had current statistics that were pre-COVID, in which our groups have not returned to yet, in addition to the fact that we have use that we believe is being met. So what we ended up doing was in March 2021, we brought forward these statistics to the user group shown through the design of the new facility, where we were heading with the existing infrastructure. And since then, we have not heard a plan or seen a plan that brings those user groups' participation back to the pre-COVID participation. And then in addition to that, filling that 1,374 hours that we would require in order to sustain a 5th artificial ice surface. So
Right.
2 factors: you have to get to pre-COVID numbers, we have to return to that participation level, and then an additional 1,374 primetime ice hours. So we have not seen a plan that identifies that. Without that evidence, it makes it very difficult to recommend a 5th artificial ice surface.
Yeah, so should, I don't know, one of the groups, multiple groups get together and lay out a plan? I mean, we do have a year or 2 to consider if they actually come up with a plan before we decommission the Stewart. So, I mean, I have heard some verbal concerns, but again, the statistics show that you're confident we have more than enough hours by adding the 4th ice surface, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. So the research has been done, the public consultation has been done, and if we just keep it open, right now, a subsidy of the Stewart without the 4th pad is $200,000. So if we keep it, that subsidy, the way I didn't do great in math in high school maybe, but I see it about $400,000, which is adding nearly 0.75% on everybody's property taxes. And I don't think people want that. I understand the thought of keeping 5th, but right now, it doesn't make any sense. We're adding a 4th. It doesn't make any sense at all. This is a difficult question to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So we close the Stewart. We have all the equipment there. Is it being looked at or anything like that if we keep the equipment as one of the options that might come back? And hey, down the road, there's potential to have a fifth ice surface, and we happen to keep the Stewart and do the roof repair, and we have it as one of our facilities, just as it's just not being used as an ice surface. Equipment's there. Is it possible to open it up again? Is it, I know that's difficult to answer, but are we looking into that as an option?
So as part of the fourth recommendation, we're certainly considering all options that we'll bring back in that
Right.
next report. It'll all really come down to the time frame in which, from now to the time that a fifth artificial ice sheet perhaps is needed in the future.
Perhaps.
I don't know what that time frame looks like and how far into the future that might lead. That would certainly be a factor in how long you keep that equipment in place. You can't just leave it stagnant. You have to actually have it in operation, not for a full season, but you do need to use it. It needs to cycle. It needs to be working in order for you to keep it in place. But we will look at all options when we bring the follow-up report back to council.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Director, for answering the questions. And what I really hear is very confident that we have more than enough hours by adding the extra ice sheet. So I'll be supporting the motion.
Thank you. I'm going to prompt the question.
If I could, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I didn't want to interrupt, and I appreciate all the comments from my colleagues. I would say, though, a couple things. You know, I'm definitely in support of number 1, number 2 on this motion, and number 4. I think it's important to see what some of our options can be. But I'm not in support of number 3 today. You know, I do feel this motion is too early, in my opinion. And I agree with my Councillor Lennox Zepp, you know, having this as keeping the option for now. You know, moving into our new operations of our facilities. But you know, this is a public asset, and I do feel that our operating fund is nothing more than the citizens pooling their money to participate in services of the city. So that said, we're not in the business of profit. We're in the business of creating private services to the residents, and this arena is in the core area of our city. And so today I'm not supporting this motion. I'd like to see us wait and assess moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, the question's now open. And Tony's a no. Thank you, carries. Okay, 11.5, Destination Marketing Fund Grant Application Form 2023 Senators Cup. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move the motion that the Event Retention Destination Marketing Fund grant application from the Prince Albert Grand Council Sports and Recreation for funding the 2023 Senators Cup Full Contact Hockey Tournament scheduled for April 14th to the 16th, 2023, in the amount of $30,000 be approved, and that the $30,000 be funded from the Destination Marketing Levy Reserve, and that the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to execute the funding agreement on behalf of the City once prepared. And once we have a second, I'll just comment.
Thank you. Leave your light on, please. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Brodnick.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Another great, activity coming to Prince Albert, the Senators Cup. Huge tournament. I do recall last year, I think that was the busiest time period of the concession in the Art Hauser Center. So it draws not only concession revenue, but also uses a facility and runs a tournament that is put on by Prince Albert Grand Council, which is excellent. The $30,000 that we're granting comes from the Destination Marketing Levy Reserve, and so the public might not know that, but that's money that hotel rooms, when people rent a hotel room, they pay a certain levy, and that money goes into what's called the Destination Marketing Levy Reserve, and that money then is used to attract these types of tournaments to our city, and we give that money to applicants when they meet certain criteria, and so therefore it's not coming out of the pockets of residents, it's coming out of people that have stayed in our hotels. And the whole point of the destination marketing and this particular activity is to get heads in beds, which means to get our hotel rooms booked, and that's what this particular event will do. It'll book a huge number of hotel rooms, generate more money for the destination marketing, spin-offs to restaurants and gas stations and shopping, etc., is there. And I can't exactly remember the amount of dollar figure for spin-off to our business community, but it's a win-win for the city and for recreational hockey called the Senators Cup, and partnering with Prince Albert Grand Council, which is always good. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support this 100%.
Councillor Head.
No comments. Thank you, Councillor Granier, for clarifying that. I'm in favor, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. And I also like to recognize that this could probably go underneath the Truth and Reconciliation number 87 as well. It wasn't highlighted into the report here, and I just like to mention that because I think it's very important that the city actually gets recognized for doing things for reconciliation. Thank you.
Very, very good point, and I'll remind our secretary of that point when we fund these projects. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 11.6, bylaw number 10 of 23, rezone portion of parcel AA from the FUD zoning district to L1 zoning district. Councillor Zepp.
That bylaw number 10 of 2023 be introduced and given first reading, and that administration provide notification to hold a public hearing.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion? Did you have something to? No. Okay, prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. 11.7, bylaw number 11 of 20. Oh, sorry.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 10 of 2023, a bylaw to rezone a portion of parcel AA Plan 62 PA 10512, Extension 1 from future urban development to institutional general. This bylaw is for first reading.
Yeah, wait till the thing's up. Councillor Zepp.
That bylaw number 10 of 2023 be read a first time.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. Any debate? No. Prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Closed. 11.7, bylaw number 11 of 23, rezoning 820 8th Street West from future urban district zoning district to R4 zoning district. Councillor Miller.
That bylaw number 11 of 2023 be introduced first time and given first reading, that administration provide notification to hold a public hearing.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Favor, thank you. Closed, motion carries. 11.8. Oops, sorry.
Mayor, we
I forgot
have,
my age and your age, so I'll slow down a little.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 11 of 2023, a bylaw to rezone the property at 800 28th Street West from future urban development to R4 high-density residential zoning district. This bylaw is for first reading.
Thank you. Councilor Miller.
That bylaw number 11 of 2023 be given a first reading.
Thank you. Councilor Kumar.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Let me prompt the question. Question's now open. Councilor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, now 11.8. First-time home buyers program application. Oop, Councilor Cody.
Yes, I move that the first-time homeowners buyer program application submitted by Quentin Dunbar be approved for up to $5,000 funded from the Housing Reserve.
Thank you. Councilor Brodnick. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any comments? I see no one in the queue. Questions now open. Councilor Head.
I'm in favor.
In favor. Motion carries. Thank you. 11.9, tourism coordinator posting.
I'll move this one, Your Worship.
You'll move this one? Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second it with a comment, please.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to note how much I appreciate the change in the description for job description that the departments have done or administration has done. It really sends out a clear message about what a great community that we have, and people are very, will really enjoy coming to our community and adding their thoughts to our growing community.
Okay. Oh. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this tourism coordinating position, who will manage this person?
Go ahead, Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. This person will report to our Economic Development Manager position.
The one where the posting is out right now?
Correct, yes.
Okay, okay. So was that part of the discussion when we were talking about making the Economic Development Manager, where that would all fall underneath?
Yes.
Thanks for the question. Yes, it was.
That was part of our discussion?
Correct, yes.
Okay, I just didn't recall that.
Yep. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Motion carries. 11.10, 2023 Advisory Committee Work Plans. Oop. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that the 2023 work plans for the advisory committees be approved.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none in the queue. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. 11:11, update from Communications Subcommittee, December 5th, 22. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll move that the members of council be encouraged to follow the subsection 35 of the procedure bylaw as much as possible so that members of administration can respond promptly and accurately to council inquiries at meetings for the benefit of the public that are watching the meetings and for the media reporting.
Thank you. Seconder. Okay, last call. Oh, Councilor Cody.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion? Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say to council that during the communications subcommittee meetings, it just came to our attention that that administration really appreciates a heads up so that information can be done really quickly, if at all possible. And that's all that this is doing. It's just reminding us each of the subsection in the procedural bylaw that that is possible.
Well, and I do like your idea, Councilor Kilmer, strictly because lots of times they don't hear the answer. You know, we have to get back to you, report back to you, so then people that are watching think, oh, I wonder what happened, you know? Yeah, but you know it, but not the public. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councilor Head?
In favor.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, number 12, unfinished business. We have none. Number 13, Mayors and Councilors Forum. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I just want to rise to let everyone know that I was honored to attend and support an event this past week. Councillor Miller and I were both there, and it was supported by the Raider organization. It was called This Girl Can. This year's guest speaker was Prince Albert's own NASCAR Pinty Series driver, Chantal Kalika. Councillor Miller and I treated 48 girls from Westmore, Vincent Massey, and Pacey to this event. As well, these girls were able to watch our Raiders defeat the #1 Central Division Red Deer Rebels 5-2. She's been racing for 13 years while working full-time at Cornerstone Insurance and raising her family in beautiful Ward 7. From all accounts, the night was enjoyed by our community residents, and the girls that spoke to me talked about they really appreciated hearing her journey and what it takes to be a NASCAR racer. So thank you.
Right on. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise today to just address Call to Action 87, and if we remember, that's calling us in collaboration with Aboriginal Peoples Sports Hall of Fame and other relevant organizations to provide public education that tells the story of Aboriginal athletes in history. And the young man that I'm going to talk about today is an athlete that is currently making history. And this is Keaston Danielson. He's a 17-year-old athlete from Opakaswak, Cree Nation in northern Manitoba. Keaston began playing hockey at a young age of 3 in the Paw, Manitoba. In his final season with the Paw Huskies, he was awarded Best Forward. He currently plays for the Prince Albert U18AA Vulcans and attends Carleton Comprehensive High School. He averages 1.5 points per game and is a top scorer for the Vulcans. He was recently awarded the M30 Goalie Male Athlete of the Year. The Global Sports Academy evaluators described Keaston as the following, quote, top of the class in all indexes. He continues to push boundaries and quietly goes about his business. He has a high learning trajectory with elite commitment and compete ratings. He is a leader by example and is able to push himself both physically and mentally. He has all the attributes we look at of our grade 12s to have. Keaston is a great person, athlete, and student. He controls all three areas tremendously, end quote. Keaston is an up-and-coming Indigenous student and athlete, and I'm proud that he chose Prince Albert to pursue his education and hockey career. And I just might add that Prince Albert is very proud of him, but I think there's one person that's probably a little bit more proud than any of us, and that is his uncle, Councillor Tony Head. So congratulations to Keaston. Thank Councillor Head for his mentoring of this young man, and continue to work so that this young man achieves his goals. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Also, I'd like to mention a happy birthday to my husband. It's his birthday today. Yes, Mayor Dion, my husband's birthday. And
Do you know I send out certificates for 75 and above? I would have been pleased to supply you one.
yeah, I'm sure he's listening. But yeah, it's his birthday this evening, and happy birthday to David.
Well, you know, that sparks something. I think there's another birthday here today. Oh, and now it's confirmed. Happy birthday, Councillor Brodnick. Dave. Okay. I have a few things to report on. First of all, Winter Festival. You know, what an event for our city. You know, and it's funny, every year we complain about the same thing, the weather. You know, it's too warm the first part and it's too cold for the last part. But I've seen lots of happy kids out there, and that's what it's about. It's about showing the youth how we used to do things in the past, how we do things future, how we compete. And, you know, right from the art show to all the musicals, the young talent that we have in this community is just unbelievable. And so I'd just like to wish them the best in next year and continue on, because Winter Festival was just such a great event for us again this year. So I'd like to congratulate all the volunteers and the organizers and the sponsors. Okay, moving on to number 14, inquiries. Oop. Birthday boy gets to go first. He paid for it. Go ahead, Councillor Rodney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My inquiry is directed to the Director of Corporate Services. Back in November 29th, 2021, I made a notice of motion that read that the administration develop a policy to deal with public's verbal and written abuse of city employees and the elected. It was heard at the November 29th, 2021 meeting and passed, and 3 months was to go by and we were supposed to get a report, and that happened and didn't get. And again, last summer was to be postponed to November of 2022, and we didn't get anything. And so I'm just wondering, when are we going to get something from this motion that's 15, 16 months past? That's my question.
Director of Corporate Services.
Hello, Councillor. Thank you for the question. It's on the work plan for this year. The challenge is that we have a number of other competing challenges for pressing issues in corporate services when it comes to policies that govern employees, and so it's just competing for time and resources right now.
Councillor Miller.
Oh, thank you. So I got a couple inquiries for Public Works and probably the fire department as well. It'll affect. So I went for a little tour and got a couple of phone calls as well to go down some streets that were blocked off and impassable because two vehicles, after plowing, two vehicles are parked on the street where they belong and right beside the windrows, and I could barely get through with my little car. So I'm sure a fire truck will not be able to get through there. So it would be the 1500 block of 12th Street West, which is cul-de-sac, and Johnson Crescent, 17th Avenue West, and Muir Drive, MacArthur Drive, and I also got a call to go to Glen Howard Way on Sunday, and so I went there as well, and there too, you could not get through there if and when they're both parked on the street on the same place. Anyway, if we can have a look at that, and I'm worried about these, all of them actually, because well, for one, we have X amount of minutes to get to a fire, and some are on MacArthur Drive here, and so we know that's kind of the red zone, and Glen Howard Way as well. I kind of worried about there, because our houses are built a little bit different up there than they are different building codes in different years, I suppose. As well, a question for the sanitation manager and the water department. Multi-unit dwellings are supposed to be, according to policy, on private garbage pickup. The 17th Street West and 18th Street West and 12th Avenue West, the 1100 block. The streets are always littered with the garbage containers, garbage bins, the city garbage bins. And the residents are quite tired of looking at them. You know, when the plows come, they can't plow the street right. When they go try to pick up the garbage bins, they can't pick them up right because they're laying tipped over because, you know, some things happen. And so I'd like to know when that property is going to be changed over to a private situation there. Also, I noticed on my tour on Sunday that I took, some have been, so Manville Bay has been changed over, and 17th Street West, the 1700 block, has been changed over to private garbage pickup. And so I got a phone call about their water bill, and on water bills we pay for garbage pickup and recycling. And have they been taken off that system to not pay for it? And they're wondering, if not, why not? And you can get back to me. I'm fine with that if you don't have an answer for me this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. And just to follow up with Councillor Miller's inquiry about snow management, snow is obviously a city councillor's worst nightmare. It's pretty evident by every time we take the graders or whatever, the machinery out to do work, we get a million phone calls. So I don't know what the solution is, but as Councillor Kilmer said, there's roads right now where you could not drive an emergency vehicle down there. If there's one car parked along that road, which we can't expect the public not to park along the road. We just can't do it. I understand it's not a designated parking, but people park on the road. So I don't know what the solution is, but right now, when an emergency vehicle cannot get through if there's a vehicle parked on the road, that is a problem. And Coombe Drive is one of them. I did take a drive up there. It's not good. There's a number of roads right now, and we're just starting the clearing. The phone calls are just beginning. Dyer Road, Thompson Bay today. It's not good. There's messes laid all over the place. There's mounds of snow. But some of the public yell about it, but also to remove it. I understand the cost of the removing of snow is astronomical. So I don't know whether we need to put an education piece out. Maybe we need to take an advertising campaign and out and educate where we're at, why we do things as we do right now. one big question I'm getting, and I'll let the director answer this. Why do we grade roads at this time of year? A lot of people are saying our roads are flat. Why do we grade roads this time of year?
Director of Public Works.
Thank you for that question. So the reason we grade roads at this time of the year, towards the end of the winter, is over the winter you get a snowpack on all the roadways, and we blade that during the winter time, but we can't remove all of it. But that snowpack starts to harden, and there's at least 6 inches of snowpack. Now, if we were to leave it, because right now the roads are smooth, and we do get lots of requests from residents say, don't do my street. But that's one voice on the entire street. If we were to skip their street, and then we have a melt day where it goes +10, which happens every spring, then that hard-packed 6 inches of snow and ice turns to a slush. And when that slush is driven on, it spreads the road into ruts. Now, it's still soft in the daytime, but that evening when it freezes and when it squeezes out, it can be up to 10 inches deep, frozen ice ruts. And then next morning, those roads are completely impassable. So not doing it is not an option, but doing it does narrow the roadway, but at least you have a roadway that you can actually drive on. And I guess I remind residents that this is an annual event, and in about 4 weeks, it'll all be melted. So we are working on continuously trying to improve the communications. We recently did an interview on snow removal, and I know that the communications manager is going to try to get that uploaded onto the website. It was hopefully maybe even today, and that will help residents understand exactly this topic.
And I like that idea, but I think it can't just be this year. We've had snow for, well, I'm 48 years old. We've had snow every year of my life. So this isn't new.
No.
But everybody forgets that there's a process.
Thank you.
So every year we need to lay out that this is why we do this. This is why we're not going to cover your sidewalk, which maybe is an alternative at this time of year, perhaps. Cover at one side of the sidewalk. I don't know. I do think that we need more discussion on this. I know we set out a snow removal policy this year, or we changed it at least, and maybe we need to look at it again. I don't have the solutions for it, so I don't know.
We can't look at it.
You know, I think that it's such a tough topic. Our phones, every one of our phones are burning right now, and the poor department gets blasted on a regular basis, despite that every year we know we have to remove snow. And maybe part of that education piece is the cost to remove the snow. I think that we should add that to the public and let them know that removing the snow is expensive, very expensive. Ask Saskatoon. I do have another question though. Why is it not possible that we put where there's roads that have drainage ditches right close by, or some raw space? Why can we not put some of that snow into those areas?
So in many areas where there are no residential or fronting properties, we do remove the snow right to the curb lane and we blow it into those open spaces. A good example of that would be Marquis Road, east and west.
Yes.
Another example would be 28th Street East, in that portion where there's no streets fronting or no homes fronting it. So that would be from, is that 10th till 12th? And there's no streets fronting it. So we can push the snow completely off the roadway. There are other places where there's some capability to remove it from one side of the street, where We have a couple of avenues going up and down the hill, like 6th. There's a sidewalk on one side. There's no sidewalk on the other side. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's a sidewalk with a boulevard. So we push all the snow to the side with the boulevard, with space. So whenever we can, we do that. But in the residential areas, most all of them have 2 sidewalks. Very few have boulevard space. And it's difficult. It's been asked before, well, can you just pick one side and we'll push it that way? But then the question is always, which side of the street? In front of my house or in front of my neighbor's house? The question has always been asked too, can we alternate? But then it's very difficult for the staff to be able to manage that, to keep track of every single block in the city and not accidentally plow it to the same side they did last year. So, yeah, there's no easy solutions to this. There's no easy solutions.
The plowing to one side, to me, would be easy because before they go out in the day, they know which side. They have a map and they have that. But what I don't see is a lot of these roads that do have the drainage ditch, and I'll just use Dyer Road for an example. Right off the end is the drainage ditch, but we don't push the snow into there. I don't know why not. Thompson Bay is right there. It's full. You can barely turn around.
What you're proposing then, though, is basically we are doing a snow lift on that street and taking it to the end and putting it on that one location. What I was responding to is like if we're going down the street and there's nothing beside it, we do try to push it completely right to the curb and off the street. But in most residential streets, we have to use the parking lane and a portion of the sidewalk to have that snow storage for the windrow.
I understand that, the cost of snow removal is to take it away a large distance and then come back. But when we have those options available to go into the drainage ditch, it's not really costly to do that. They're right there.
It's not as costly as removal by truck, but it does take some time and manpower and equipment power to do that. So even cul-de-sacs take more time and manpower because when you're clearing a cul-de-sac, you can run the grader patrol up and down that cul-de-sac, but around the bulb at the end, it's very difficult. So they skip the bulb, and then we have the chase loaders that are doing each of the driveways. Then they get down to the bulb, and they have to spend time in the bulb, piling it up, usually in the middle, temporarily, and then everyone can access their driveways, and we come back and take that pile out of the end of the cul-de-sacs at a later date. So it does add up.
It adds up. Yeah. So I'm hearing that there's a bit of a balancing act, and we're tipping in one direction or the other each year. So in other words, I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, what we should do is I looked up last year's complaints. We didn't remove enough of the snow and people were getting stuck on the streets. The opposite. So we solved that problem by scraping it down to pavement. Now we're getting beat up because now it's narrowed the roads. And I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating on my street. But I just look at it this way. I'm more optimistic than my colleague across from me. I do believe next week you're going to see the snowpack go down a little more, a little more, a little more. It's not that we're having it there for months. I think a month is probably the longest, I hope. But I looked up. So I think what we should do is at the start of the season and during the snow season, we should put up pictures of 19, 2000, say, look at last year, we got attacked because of the snow, we broke through, we had to come back and remove it. So it's a no answer. Or do as some of my neighbors do, we have no more room to put our snow on our front lawn because we can only throw our shovel so high up. So some of us have pooled our money together and got private contractors to come in and remove it because that's what's expected. I don't expect the city to come with a loader, and remove it. And yeah, there's no easy answer, and I can tell you this, not one city has the answer. That's the only one. The only city that I ever been in that has an answer to snow removal was Waikiki. That was the only one. And they did get snow that year, little bristle. Okay, we're going to move on. Inquiry responses, 15.1. Oh. Councillor Zepp.
That inquiries 23-3 be received as information and filed.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, number 16, notice of motions. Pardon me? None? Okay, motions we've already done. Public forum, we have nobody registered. Councillor Kilmer.
I move to adjourn.
Seconder. Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Hang on, I'll prompt the question. It's the only box now that doesn't have a mark on it. And I didn't get it right, no. Did I? No, it's not open. Oh, ready to vote. I did. It's open. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm in favor, and you all have a great night.
Okay, you too. Be safe in your travels.